buries it. Three-pointers good, framed by Jordan.
Side, that's up and in. Spectacular finish, jump stop. And the hoop with the floater. Oh, that was sensational.
Welcome to the EIBC Soundboard Podcast. I am your host, Jacob Williamson, and I have had the pleasure of interviewing EIBC broadcaster Mr. Darren Preston from Santa Monica, California. Welcome, Darren. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we're going to start off with, if you were to tell someone about the EIBC League, what is the first thing you would tell them if they're new to the league or, if they're new to that league or watching those games?
Yeah, the first thing I would tell them is to get involved with it somehow. I've been a broadcaster now for a very long time. I can comfortably say it was one of the more unique and pleasant experiences of my life as a broadcaster because of how everything from the talent level on the court to watching coaches at that level interact with their players and make adjustments throughout these games to all the exciting finishes that we had. And now, as we go into another season, I get to look back at some of these rosters that we had last year and go online and say and see them in some cases on Division I rosters. And that is so rewarding. And I just want to keep that going as a broadcaster.
Yeah. What was it like to cover the league in Denver, Colorado? What was it like announcing games in Denver?
So that was our first weekend. And, just like with anything else, you go into something new, and you don't know entirely what to expect, right? And I had very limited experience as a broadcaster in the media underneath college athletics. So what was I going to watch? What was I going to call? What kind of games? What was going to be the surrounding atmosphere? Who was I working with? What was the production? What was, all these questions that you would go into something, for the first time, in the media. So Denver turned out to be awesome. I mean, everything from, and they were so prepared out there in Louisville, Colorado, which was, I believe, where the facility was or where we stayed, and Superior was nearby, and that everything from the gym itself to the hospitality that we had, you go right upstairs from the gym and there's a restaurant there, and it was a beautiful facility, nice accommodations out there. And right away I got to see some great prep talent. And that, of course, was the home of Colorado Prep, who I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about later. But how nice it is to see a guy like Josiah Sanders now on the University of Colorado roster. So we had a lot of fun on that first weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. So what did you think? What were some specific things you noticed about the Colorado program?
Great coach. Coach Mike, I think his name was
Mike Moskowitz.
Yeah, Mike Moskowitz. Thank you. His last name was eluding me there. Yeah. Great coach. Really nice guy. And another thing that stood out was going in, with limited access to names and rosters, let's say that you normally find online, gave us a great rundown. That they had two programs there, and kind of like a varsity and a JV type of situation. And Coach Mike was terrific in just laying the land for me and us as broadcasters. Who's committed where. What do you need to watch out for from this player and that player and so forth? And the team, that Colorado Prep team, was impressive. Obviously, Josiah Sanders, you got to start there. who averaged 23 and 6 throughout the course of the EIBC season. Terrific defender and an incredible leader. And I cannot wait to watch this guy at the University of Colorado. He's going to be a great college athlete. And some of the guys on the other team, the lower level team, they were. It'll be interesting to kind of keep tabs on how they develop over the years as well.
That's really cool. So, what? I know you guys you and Randy went to Vegas. So, what were some players or even teams that you guys noticed that really stood out in Vegas that really shined?
Yeah, Vegas is always interesting. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That saying, but the thing that makes Vegas interesting is because over the years I've been there covering events so much. So that's probably the one weekend that's kind of a little bit of a fog to me because I'm there a lot doing different events and so forth. But again, another nice school and another nice facility, very hospitable people out there and we had a lot of teams come out in that tournament, nice broadcast situation. And that Vegas would have been our second weekend and in early December. So we started to feel a little bit more comfortable with names, rosters, and teams. And we started to see the talent really unfold during that time. So as we were working towards the middle of the season, we started to get a lot more comfortable. And I think it was also that weekend where Jeff Nathanson, our studio host, came in, and he had a nice opening. Jeff lives, another one of our broadcast members. He lives out in Vegas. He did a studio opening for us to kind of lead us into the broadcast. So that's another thing that stood out about Vegas.
Who were some players or teams that you noticed or that you announced that you really liked announcing or enjoyed in Vegas?
Yeah, I think out in Vegas was actually the first time I started to meet some people in the crowd, some of the parents who started to introduce themselves. And, oh yeah, I remember hearing you out in Denver, or such and such transferred from Vegas or from another school out to one of the schools in Vegas. And you start getting into those conversations, and that's when that this is really coming together. You're really starting to have a good time because people are starting to know who you are and introduce themselves, and that kind of made it even that more rewarding for me.
Yeah. So what was the Iowa stop like? You guys went to Iowa. What were some highlights that you guys noticed?
If you were to ask me to pick one particular weekend that was my favorite, believe it or not, it might have been Des Moines, Iowa. I had never in my entire life covered anything in Iowa. I had never been to Iowa. It was one of the 12 states in the country that I had never been to. And in spite of the near 0 degree temperatures, and I actually came back from that trip very sick. I had COVID coming back from that trip, and I had a urgent care situation. But that was actually when I came back, when I landed at LAX. But while we were there, again, another weekend where we started to see some great programs. The Iowa United team was remarkable, playing on their home court. Got to meet some other people out there from that area of the country, again, like I said, that I had never been to. And the Iowa team was great. It was also really wonderful for a couple of Canadian teams I believe they were there that weekend, or it may have been the weekend before, but There were two Canadian teams, one from Edmonton, another from Calgary, who I got to call their games on a regular basis. Never had I been able to do that. Edge Prep in Calgary, and then Western Canada Prep Academy out of Edmonton. So they were terrific people, terrific coaches to get to know, and the players. And a couple of weekends later, we actually had one of their assistant coaches come on and do some color commentary with me, which was a terrific experience as well. So Iowa was a great stop. It was a great trip, and again, it was a nice gym, a nice setup, and it was a great weekend.
Who are some of your favorite players to watch in Iowa?
Arafan Diani, who he was the big guy for Iowa, and he may not have been, now that I'm thinking about it, he may not have been in attendance that weekend, but we had seen him over 2 or 3 different weekends across the EIBC. Big time player, big post player, a guy that you always want to get the ball into. Terrific rebounder, just a big body, and I'd easily put him in the top 5 players I saw throughout the whole EIBC season.
Okay, my next question is, what do you think the trajectory of Arafan Diani's career at Iowa United? How do you think the trajectory of his career is at? I
mean, there's just like a lot of the other star players, there's so much upside. You see all these kids' potentials, and you know, kind of like what I was saying earlier, you just want to be able to follow them as they mature, as they go on to the next level, as they get coached. I don't know where Diani is now, but I can get into a few of the other names who I do know where they're at. But I mean, again, there's no substitute for a guy that can dominate underneath the basket, you know, and he is, I guess, in his own right, raw would be the word, because he's only going to get better, you know.
Yeah, he's only
and he's, you know,
sound and smooth.
Absolutely, and you know, he's got that D1, and I'll even say NBA kind of body and mindset out there, and ability to score, rebound, and defend. So it's only going up, right?
Yeah. What was it like? What do you think about New Mexico? How was it covering the league in New Mexico for you?
Yeah, Albuquerque, a very interesting town. I've also done a lot of events there, particularly at the University of New Mexico. In Albuquerque, we used a couple of different facilities, and what really stood out to me was one facility in particular. It looked like it came out of some facility that you'd see in the 40s or 50s. I mean, it was really this old school type of gym, and it's like, oh wow, did you know, maybe a guy like, I don't know, John Wooden came in here as a visiting coach and coached here one year, you know, or Don Haskins, maybe, right? The UTEP coach who won a national championship in the mid 60s. Those guys would come in and coach at a facility like that, and it was really unique. It was off the beaten path, and I enjoyed, you know, it was kind of like this hot little gym, and I enjoyed doing games there as well. And then we went to another facility too, but yeah, Albuquerque was a fun weekend. It was actually Super Bowl weekend, so we came home. That was they made that weekend a Thursday through Saturday, and it kind of was good, I guess, on my end. Not because of the Super Bowl, because it got me home on a Saturday night. And with my other jobs, I had Sunday to recover on that weekend. But because most of these weekends go or went through Sunday. So, but it was a lot of fun going out there midweek and spending a few days in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's really cool. Did you get a chance to talk to Brandon Mason Sr. or his son, Brandon Mason Jr., or possibly both of them?
I don't think I interviewed him. I know the name. Outstanding player. Guard, I think, if I remember.
Yeah.
And very good court leader, as was, Josiah Sanders and King Grace and those kinds of guys. But, yeah, another player who is going to be successful because of his on-court leadership.
What was the greatest moment for you last season announcing EIBC games? What was the best time you had?
So that probably takes us into Phoenix. Okay. Phoenix was the last weekend. It was the playoffs. And again, a weekend that pretty much everything came together. It was exciting. The way the league ended, you probably could not have asked for anything better. It was a game-winning shot to win the championship for Oak Cliff out of Dallas, beating Canyon International Academy, or CIA, if you prefer. CIA at times last year was actually the team to beat, and Oak Cliff did not come into the league. I believe it was not until that third weekend, probably in Iowa when they started, but they had 3 incredible weekends and just made that run at the end. They had some terrific players, and obviously you got to start with King Grace. King Grace is now on the Mississippi State roster. Going to be a fantastic player for them. Was part of the number 11 national recruiting class at Mississippi State, and he's another guy like Sanders who had very similar numbers, averaged about 24 throughout the EIBC season. And King Grace was a guy probably I would have as my top overall player in the EIBC last year because of his ability to lead on the court. An incredible floor general and mature way beyond his years. So, and to think that, this is a guy that's coming in top 75 per ESPN national recruit as part of a top 11 recruiting class that Mississippi State had. So I look forward to watching him very much too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you like what was your opinion on the target score to finish out EIBC games? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
So very unique, right? Very unique. It was very refreshing, actually, to learn about that and to call those games. And I think, if anything, it served a purpose to get in the mindset of someone who's 17, 18 years old, of being able to finish a game without the pressure of the clock. So if a team is behind, okay, you have the ability to come back without looking at a clock and saying that there's a minute left in the game. Get a stop, then you do your thing offensively. Get a stop, do your thing, and look, you can ask 100 different people what they think of the that system, and you'll get 100 different answers, I'm sure. I think it has its pluses and minuses, but so does everything else. And I thought it was very unique, and it's like, wow, we get to look at and call these games from a different perspective when they got late. And then sure enough, right, in Phoenix, look what happened. CIA very easily could have won that game had there been a clock at the end, but that's not how it played out, because Oak Cliff used that system to their advantage, and they did it perfectly, and ended up getting that game-winning shot. So,
What player or players, like what group of players or player had the best impression on you last year? Who stood out the most to you? Who did you like watching the most or enjoy announcing?
Yeah. So I'm going with my two guys, Josiah Sanders and King Grace. Again, Josiah Sanders played at Colorado Prep for Mike Moskowitz. He's going to be a terrific addition to Colorado's roster. He is a 6'5" guard. I'd like to see him play the point. He's got to work on his shooting a little bit, but great on defense. He can rebound. He's a great rebounding guard, I thought. And he's a great floor general. So watch out for Josiah Sanders for the University of Colorado this year, and also King Grace, as I mentioned earlier, from Mississippi State, part of the number 11 ranked recruiting class as a team in the country per ESPN, top 75 national recruit. King Grace was a all-around player. He was a scorer. He was a floor general. He could play defense quite a bit. And a guy that was very fast. I thought he was one of the fastest players we saw last year in terms of his ability to get up and down the court, and also some of those CIA kids. Jordan Charles was his name, and he was another point guard, and he was a big reason why CIA got as far as they did. And then Mo Silla, the Georgia Tech commit, who is now on their roster. A lot of top-notch programs were after him because, again, as I was saying about Fandiani, there's no substitute for what a young basketball player can do underneath the rim. And Mo Silla had everything going on underneath the rim, particularly on defense. Best block shot man, without question, in the EIBC. Great rim protector, and also could take the ball right out of your hands. So not the best scorer by any means in the league, but on defense, I thought he was the best. Mo Silla now on the Georgia Tech roster.
How do you think Josiah Sanders and King Grace, do you think they will get plenty of playing time, or how do you think their freshman years will go at their colleges this year?
Yeah, so without knowing what those two rosters look like in terms of their experience, those guys I would say at the very minimum, should get some valuable minutes off the bench, but they're both good enough to be playing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're going to be in the starting lineup. They might. I think at some point this year, they're based on what I saw, I think they're mature enough to actually be in a D1, a good program D1 starting lineup. That may take some time, just like it does with anybody else. But the talent that I saw from those two, they certainly have the ability to get substantial and meaningful minutes in important basketball games this year, conference basketball games and beyond. So,
yeah. How do you think Mohamed Silla's career will go at Georgia Tech? Do you think that's the right place for him? How do you think they'll utilize him?
So, a lot of people were after him. Duke was after him. California was after him. He ended up at Georgia Tech. He's going to be a tough out. He's going to be tough for anybody to deal with. So that even more so, somebody like that could be on the court 20 plus minutes a game. Just to start out with, and maybe more, right? I mean, nowadays you gotta sign with someone before you're thinking about next level. I mean, that's certainly NBA talent in my mind, but so he's going to go to Georgia Tech. He's going to play there a year. And then as we see a lot of times, guys come out and go on to the next level. And I think he's capable of doing that.
Yeah. So from the players you saw last year, which one, if you had to pick one, would you pick to be, like, if you were making a team, what player are you taking to lead your team?
Well, I want leadership on my team. So I would have, if I was to make a fantasy team, if you will.
Yeah.
I would certainly have King Grace and Josiah Sanders starting in my backcourt.
Yeah.
Up front, I would have, the kid from Iowa, Arafan Diani, and then I would have Mo Silla out there as well. I would probably put another guard out there. We had a team last year, Phoenix Prep, the Fire Frogs. And the thing I liked about their team, and I really respected about their team, is I knew exactly what I was getting every single time I did one of their games, in that they weren't a deep team at all, but their starting unit was incredible. It was a very guard-oriented team. I believe they were a semifinal team at the end of the year in Phoenix, and they were very guard-oriented, well-coached. And I knew exactly from opening weekend exactly what I was getting from them. So I would absolutely have one of their guards on that starting 5 fantasy team if I were to have one.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have today. But thank you so much for joining us at the EIBC Soundboard. We will definitely have you back throughout the season and see how it goes. Can't wait to see your work throughout the season and the games you announce. Have a wonderful day, and we'll have you on the live stream on the EIBCleague.com website.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me, and I look forward to calling a set of games tomorrow. Our second year starts tomorrow out in Corona, so I'll look forward to calling a few games out there. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining. This is a fun time.